talking to you again.
You got, so this will be 2 practices. Like, are these, how important are these right now for you in terms of sort of picking things up and getting to the spot where you can be as comfortable as you are in this defense as you were in maybe Pops?
I mean, they help for sure. I think especially just like running through these plays and stuff like that. Like we're not really having live practices, so like the defensive schemes, like that's more like a mental thing for me to get used to. And I think, yeah, running through it is in practice only does so much. Like it's about like doing it game speed in the game and like being able to react in time, like getting used to or almost making it. Making it a habit where, like, if I have to react in a split second, I do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Did you find from one game to the next it was a big jump for you in terms of what you knew and how comfortable you were?
For sure, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
First day was kind of like I don't know, you getting thrown in the deep end, just kind of trying to make it work. Obviously, like I knew about the schemes, I knew about the plays, but I didn't really have it down yet. Like I said, it's about getting into a habit of doing things. So that was tough the first game. I think it was a lot better already in the second game.
What's the biggest change mentally you have to make from what you were doing in Pop's game to what you do here?
Oh, it's tough. There's a couple things on defense. Obviously, like I spoke about this before, like kind of going from a sit back passive type defense, like being very careful, not giving up fouls, to a very aggressive style defense. Trying to force turnovers, maybe making a couple less solid plays, but trying to be aggressive and like forcing the opponents to make mistakes. And then on offense, like I feel like I'm just in a little bit of a different role. In San Antonio, I had the ball in my hands a lot. I was trying to create for other guys. Like so far here, I'm just in a lot of pick and roll situations. Like obviously we have really talented one-on-one scorers in P, Fred, all those guys. So. Yeah, I'm just trying to play more of a supportive role on offense, I guess.
How do you work on that defensive change and being aggressiveness in practice and moving your feet on the perimeter and all those things? How do you practice that stuff?
I mean, there's really not that much to practice. You just do it over and over again in reps like that. And I think at the end of the day, every player out there has their own individual defensive identity. So I'm going to apply my own identity to the scheme. But I'm gonna just like adjust my personal style to this more aggressive way. Like I can only do what I'm capable of doing. You know what I mean? Just like everybody else is out there. So yeah, it's just about these small little adjustments in mindset almost.
How have you noticed how you and Precious can coordinate defensively and kind of put on side?
I mean, the great thing about Precious is that he can guard multiple positions out there. You can put him on a big. You can put him on smalls, like in these lineups where we were playing together yesterday. He was guarding, yeah, arguably the best shooter for most of those times. So I think that's good. And then you get into situations where you can switch, and like I'm not worried about him switching onto a big. Like I feel like I can guard most smalls out there, or at least make it difficult on them. So yeah, that's definitely it's very good for us.
Is it going to change again when OG comes back? I mean, you're learning all this without him right now, and then he comes back, and obviously he's a big part of this, what this team does defensively.
For sure. I mean, I haven't seen it. I don't know if the whole thing changes when OG comes back. I feel like he's just going to kind of slot in, but yeah, I can't speak on it until he comes back playing.
Exactly.
Thank you.
What was your reaction to finding out that you will be heading to the All-Star?
I mean, I think for me, like, obviously I thought I should have been there, but it is what it is now, you know, like, I'm sure, like, for me, like, the most important now is, like, my family be excited, like, they get a free trip somewhere, and they get to have some fun, enjoy it, hang out.
Anyway?
Huh?
Weren't they going to get one somewhere else anyway?
No. We don't just go on vacation for no reason. So now they get to, you know, have a, they always enjoy those things, like those events and things like that. So it's just excited for them to enjoy it.
You've had 2 games now with Yak back there, one starting, one without. I mean, how does he change what you guys can do defensively? And how much more confident do you feel out there defensively with him back, you know, back in the rim?
I think like I said the other day, like we have to all do our jobs, like you know, guarding the ball, and I just think again, like just having a bigger body, like that just makes a difference for us. Like someone that can alter shots and someone that can, you know, is strong down there, can push those other bigs around, and again, if I'm not guarding a 5 or Scotty's not guarding a 5, like that's even better. So I think that like it's gonna help us.
Was there any noticeable difference with Adrian last night as opposed to Nick in the way things unfolded?
I mean, no, I think, you know, those coaches are professional. You know, again, we have a talented coaching staff, and all of those guys, I'm sure, put in situation can be good. So obviously, like we hope and we want Nick to be back, but I think, you know, the guys just, you know, congrats to AG, just from practice to the game, like, you know, he did everything right, prepared for the game, and yeah, like it was good, and I'm happy for him.
Pascal, the last time you guys played Orlando, a lot of problems. How are you guys different after you can, or
No, it was some good games. Obviously, they played very well, and they play good basketball. They have a lot of talent, and I just think that, again, like from then we're a different team also. So it'll be good matchup, and playing against those guys. You know, a lot of wings, and you know we have a lot of wings also. So yeah, it'll be a fun matchup, I think.
What's been the biggest improvement since the last time you guys played them?
I don't know. I don't remember what happened those last games. Like, I don't know the difference, to be honest with you. But I think that, again, like we playing better basketball, and I just feel like, yeah, we're a different team. Like, and I don't know exactly how, but I think so.
Pascal, you guys have obviously been pretty down after the Utah game. What did you make of how responded?
Yeah, I think we've been through a lot of, you know, ups and downs and highs and lows, and you know, one thing that I always say, I don't know, I read it somewhere, it was like try to have high lows, like, you know, like where it's like you have a low point, but you don't just, you know, act like it's the end of the world. You know, you try to take the good out of whatever we did. Again, like we played a really good game, and unfortunately, like, you know, the last 6-7 minutes of the game we didn't play our best basketball, but those things like that happen. We can't let that part just take away everything else that we did good. So I think that, you know, everyone was just focused on that. You know, some of the guys, you know, Freddie talked about it, the coaches talked about it, and you know, we just rallied back, and again, like we want to win every single game. It feels like, you know, now this time around, but we got to continue to focus one game at a time and not get too attached to you know, like bad plays or bad games. So we just got to keep moving on.
Adrian Griffin was saying that he had told you guys to embrace the difficulty, embrace the suck, what he said specifically. But what did you take that to?
No, I think, again, that's kind of like, for me, like what kind of like my motto, and like in wanting to just continue to fight through everything. Like, you go through a lot of adversities, and you go through, you know, tough times, and you have to break through it, and I think that's the only way. Putting the work in every single day, and understanding that it's going to be hard, and we are in a hard position, but if someone can do it, this is going to be us. So yeah, I bet on us on that. Shout out Freddie.
Is there any pressure or urgency that comes with, like, the position you're in and Masai not making any trade deadline moves?
What happened?
Do you guys feel any pressure or urgency going into this last stretch of the season and trying to put Masai right and not, like, making as many moves?
I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't, like, again, like, you asking me questions that I don't know the answer to. Masai, they do their jobs, and all our jobs is to play basketball, and I think that's what we want to do every single day. I don't think we really think about anything else but going out there and trying to win games.
Thank you, Pascal.
Feel great. Go Chiefs, man. That was a tough game. Both teams played well enough to win, you know, but I'm glad the Chiefs pulled it out. It's a little too intense for me. But I thought taking the knee at the 1 yard line, like that's a gutsy call there. But it worked out, you know. So I learned something. I never saw that before, but that was pretty good.
How would you keep your performance up?
Always looking for ways to get better. You know, you're always your toughest critic after games, so win or losses. And, you know, I just love feedback. So one of the things I try to do is just ask a lot of questions after the game to the other coaches, like what could I have done better? What could the team have done better? And I got some really good feedback this morning about just managing the game, managing the rotations, and it's a lot goes into sitting in that chair. Yeah, it's just you know, every game is a game within itself. You know, you got so many moving parts. You got the starters who need to keep a nice flow, and then you got the subs coming in, and each guy has his own strengths and weaknesses, and you're trying to use their strength and magnify their strength and try to minimize their weaknesses on the floor, and then you're trying to do that against their opponents. You know, how can we neutralize what they're doing? So it's a lot, but I leaned on any one of us, as far as the coaches, could have coached that game. You know, we got a really good staff. Coach Nurse has done a great job assembling the staff, and the players were great. You know, like I said before, Freddie and all those guys were leaders on the court, and we always talk about having just a team of leaders, and so it was just a collective thing. But you always try to do some reflection after each game, win or loss.
Getting a guy like Delano in there, was that a feel thing based on what he did in Detroit? Were there things you were seeing in practice that you really liked?
Yes, for sure. You know, just watching the game from the previous game in Detroit, he played extremely well on both ends of the floor. And he's working hard in practice, and we just felt like, okay, this is his time. And he didn't disappoint, man. He was great. And all those guys coming off the bench, Malachi was particularly great. Thad always, and Chris giving that energy. So they held the lead, and they fought, and they bought some time for our starters to get back into it.
What do you think is the most important thing for Delano heading down the stretch in terms of what you guys want to see?
Like, it's just like all young players, it's just all about consistency. You know, just every day finding ways to get better, and not, you know, when your lows, you don't want your lows to be too low. You know, and when the coach puts you in the game, you always just try to maintain the lead. You don't want to give up the lead. You don't want to make mistakes and turnovers. That doesn't mean you have to go for 30. A lot of times it's just about being solid. I played that role many times in my career, where you just want to maintain the lead and work hard and get some defensive stops and buy some time for the starters to come back in the game. So everyone has a role on the team. And the biggest message sometimes with young players is this is a team sport, you know, and in a perfect world, you would get 20, 30 shots, but it just doesn't happen that way all the time, and you just kind of wait till it's your time to shine. Everyone's going to get an opportunity, but you just got to embrace the little things. You know, it's sometimes younger guys only see, and I'm not talking about Delano, I'm just saying in general, a lot of times younger guys only see what's right in front of them instead of long-term and longevity. It's really about making a career out of this, and you want to play 10, 12 years if you're lucky. And that's about being a constant pro. And sometimes you're going to sit there, maybe be a game or two, but when the coach calls your name, you got to go in and produce. And when you do, good things happen. This league rewards you. You know, and we've seen it time and time again. You do the right things over and over again, you get rewarded.
Is that something you look for on the bench, where it's like, hey, they're maybe not getting an opportunity, but are they still locked into the game? Are they still cheering for their teammates, that type of stuff?
Well, that's the minimum. You know, that's as a professional athlete, you know, and your job is to stay ready. You know, of course we appreciate the professionalism, but that's your job. You know, I've done that, you know, the course of my career, where you just got to train and you got to keep working. You may not see the results at the time, but there's going to be a moment during the season where the coach puts you in the game, and it's up to you to perform. And I think one of the toughest things for young guys to understand is that you have to convince the coach to play you. And sometimes they want it in reverse. You know, they want the opportunity first, and then I'll show you. But you have to show them, you know, every day when you go into practice, and your work ethic and your attention to the details, your concentration, even if it's just drill work. And that's how you build trust. You know, when you're consistent every day and you continue to do the right things and show up, the trust is built, and then the coach feels comfortable putting you in the game. So basketball is a good life lesson teacher, you know, motor. You know, it's sports. It teaches you a lot, you know, about discipline and doing the right thing and building character.
Where do you feel like has been the biggest area of growth since you guys last played Orlando?
Well, I mean, just take the last couple games, and like we deserved to win both of those games. And I think last night we played well enough to win, obviously, and the fourth quarter, you know, we stuck together. We kept executing. Yesterday they scored 40 points, but we also scored. And sometimes that's all you need when you have a lead, is kind of balance them out a little bit. You just can't go, you know, 40 points and then only score, you know, 20 points in a quarter. Obviously, it's not gonna work on your favor. But I think overall, Coach Nurse's message, like, people don't understand, like, we've been really practicing hard, and the players been putting a lot into it. We always talk about, if you put a little into it, you're gonna get a little out. You put a lot into it, you're gonna get a lot out. So our shoot-arounds, our practices been sharp. Like, Coach been holding everyone to a high standard. And the players been holding themselves to a high standard. So, like I said before, sometimes you don't see immediate results, but you keep doing the right thing. I like how we're moving in the right direction. I like how we're playing for each other and trying to help each other, especially on the offensive end, and then covering for each other on the defensive end. Defensively, I thought we did a tremendous job. You know, they were on 100 points until, you know, probably the last 5 minutes of that game. So you can see the effort out there. You can see just the willingness to put forth and do the hard work. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
Griff, how much can one guy, and I'm talking about the accuracy, how much can one guy sort of change your whole defensive outlook in terms of, I mean, you guys have struggled all year, right? I mean, that's not a secret. You got one guy, and you got a rim protector now. How much can that one person change it?
Well, it's certainly a luxury that, you know, I have someone with his size, and he's just a smart, intelligent player. You know, when you can get stops, it's funny how one hand watches the other. Like, when you know, the defensive end, like, we have guards, we're a pressure defense, right? So sometimes we may get beat off the dribble because we're up there pressuring the ball so much, but to have someone like Jakob at the rim, giving us that rim protection and block shots and limit them to one shot. You limit teams to one shot and you can get out and run, man, you're gonna have good success. So his size and also his basketball IQ. Like, we were switching with our DHOs, and he was switching on to Bogdanovich a few times and did a great job. You know, he understands, you know, you got to press up on the shooters and get them inside the line. And he's only been with us for a couple of days and has already picked up a lot of our concepts. So he's only going to get better, right? And then when Coach Nurse get back, and, you know, Coach Nurse works his magic, you know, good things are in store.
What do you think of his ability to switch down positions? Probably more so than he was doing at the same time.
Well, obviously it's something that we use sparingly and, you know, strategically. We're not going to switch, you know, every possession down, but there's going to be times when he's going to have to switch, and we got to have the help built in the backside for him. But I think he just, you know, with his size, he just knows a lot of defense. Like, I had slow feet, but a lot of defense is positioning and working the angles and knowing how to cut people off at the right angle. And you don't have to be the fastest guy, but with him, you know, he knows how to kind of get wide and long and use his length and keep guys in front. And if he's not able to keep them in front, he knows where the help is. So, you know, like I said, like, it's a work in progress, but I think we're headed in the right direction.
We've seen Precious Achiuwa fill in a lot for essentially OG spot defensively.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Normally he's guarding in the paint, but
Yeah.
now we see him guarding the perimeter. What do you make of his role change in that sense, and also sort of his versatility overall defensively?
Well, in my opinion, since Precious has been with us, we've put him on the toughest, even dating back to last year, we have put him on the toughest offensive guy, and he just has a knack, uncanny knack with his size to move his feet. He has great feet, and I thought he did a great job on Bogdanovich. You know, there were times when Bogdanovich got a little loose, got a little free, got a couple threes up we normally don't want to give up. But before the game, Precious wanted to take the challenge. You know, when we found out Gary was out and we were looking at, okay, what are the matchups? And we knew that Bogdanovich is their guy, and he's the guy you got to stop. And Precious wanted to take that challenge. And even throughout the game, when there was times when Bogdanovich was making some tough shots, Precious wanted to stay on him, and I thought he did a great job. And then he made some timely shots in the fourth quarter at the rim. You know, in the fourth quarter, it's the time you got to get to the rim. You know, you got to get to the free throw line, especially when teams are making runs. So I thought Pascal did a good job getting to the free throw line, and Precious made that move in the post that helped kind of give us that lead.
Thank you.